Dread horror. Uncover the darkest mysteries that remain unsolved. If you dare, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a terrifying story. Not until Easter Sunday, 2023, my sister and I were visiting our grandmother in Pine Hollow, a sleepy town tucked away in rural Oregon. It was one of those forgotten places where time seemed to slow down, and the trees whispered louder than the people did. We hadn't seen Grandma since Mom passed, and Easter seemed like a good excuse to reconnect. She still lived in the old Victorian house that had been in our family for over a century, the one with the rotting porch swing and the wind chimes that never stopped, even when the air was dead still. The town held its annual Easter egg hunt in the local park that Sunday. The event was for kids, mostly, but everyone came out for it. There were booths, food, and of course the Eggman, a local tradition none of us understood. A man in a full-body egg costume like a demented mascot. He didn't talk, didn't wave. He just walked around the park, watching. I always thought it was creepy. Grandma, however, got uncomfortably quiet when I brought him up. "Don't point at him," she whispered, "and don't let him see your face when the sun goes down." We thought she was being superstitious. Old lady stuff. We shouldn't have ignored her. The day started like any other Easter. Pastel colors, giggling kids, too much candy. My niece, Ellie, 7 years old, bright as the sun, was excited beyond reason. She sprinted off with her basket the moment the horn blew, vanishing into the sea of children and hidden eggs. That's when I saw him, the Eggman. The costume was worse up close. It looked homemade, stained, sagging fabric shaped like a cracked egg, with uneven eye holes cut into it. The man inside was tall, too tall. His movements were jerky, like he wasn't used to his own limbs. He stared at Ellie for a long time. I moved to step between them, but in the blink of an eye he was gone. By 3 p.m. the park was emptying. Parents packed up their kids. The event was winding down, but Ellie hadn't come back. We searched everywhere. First the playground, then the woods near the back of the park, then the bathrooms. Nothing. The police were called by 4 o'clock. They asked all the usual questions. They formed a search party. Drones flew overhead. Dogs sniffed through the trees. At 6:13 p.m., they found her Easter basket near a shallow creek. Cracked eggshells crushed beneath it. No prints. No blood. No Ellie. The sun began to set. I remembered what Grandma said. Back at the house, while everyone else gathered in the living room crying and whispering theories, I went upstairs to Grandma's room. She was asleep or pretending to be. I searched her drawers and found a leather-bound journal. Inside were pages of messy handwriting, drawings, and newspaper clippings. The entries were all dated around Easter, spanning decades. Different years, different missing children. Each entry ended the same way. Saw him again. The Eggman. He took another. He always takes one. There was one sketch in particular that made my skin crawl. It was a child's drawing, stick figure style, of a towering figure in an egg suit with long black arms, dragging something small behind him. There were dozens of them. Around midnight, I was standing on the porch, unable to sleep, when I heard humming, a melody like a lullaby, soft and strange. Ellie's voice, faint, coming from the woods behind the house. I grabbed my sister and a flashlight. We followed the sound through the dense trees, the cold wrapping around us like a second skin. The forest felt alive, breathing, pulsing. Every branch looked like it was reaching. After 15 minutes, we found something. Clearing. In the center was a stone well, ancient and moss-covered. The humming stopped the moment we saw it. The forest fell silent. Then came the knock, 3 slow knocks from inside the well. My sister screamed. I should have walked away. I should have listened to instinct. But I looked down. At first, there was only blackness. But then, movement. The Eggman. He was climbing the walls of the well. Not with his hands, but with something else. Long, insect-like limbs protruding from under the suit. They scraped against the stone, dragging his body upward, closer and closer. I dropped the flashlight in panic. It hit the bottom with a dull clink. The light revealed something we couldn't unsee. Ellie was there, at the bottom, sitting motionless, eyes open but wrong, hollow. Behind her, dozens of other children, all still, all staring, all in pastel. The Eggman was just above them, hanging from the side of the well like a spider. He turned his head upward and smiled. We ran. We didn't stop until we were inside, doors locked, windows boarded. We told the police. They said we were hallucinating from stress. No well was found in the area we described. They eventually ruled Ellie as missing, presumed deceased. Grandma died 2 weeks later. Natural causes, they said. But when we cleaned out her room, we found one last journal entry written in shaking hands. He is older than Easter, older than the trees. He wears what comforts children. He comes when they gather in joy, and he feeds. Once every 7 years, Pine Hollow loses a child. This is our price. We left Pine Hollow. We tried to forget. But how do you forget something like that? Last week, Easter 2025, I got an envelope. No return address. Inside was a photograph. Old, black and white. It showed the Pine Hollow Easter event from 1952. Kids smiling, families laughing, and in the background, the Eggman, unchanged, unaging, watching. 2 days ago, my niece Ellie came back. She was standing on my front porch. Same dress, same hair, no older than the day she disappeared. But she didn't blink. She didn't speak. She just stared, and in her hands, she held a single cracked Easter egg. Inside it was a slip of paper, scrawled on it in perfect handwriting. "Tak, you're next." They say Easter Sunday is a time of renewal, rebirth painted in pastel hues, baskets brimming with chocolate eggs, and the soft chime of church bells calling the faithful. But in the forgotten town of Marrow's End, nestled deep in the hollows of West Virginia, Easter carries a different weight. The locals don't speak of it to outsiders, and the few who've stumbled upon the truth rarely leave to tell the tale. My name is Clara Hensley, and I'm writing this because I need someone, anyone, to know what happened on Easter Sunday 2023. I found the old cassette recorder in my attic last week. Its tape's still intact despite the years. I've transcribed it here word for word because I can't bear to listen to it again. The voices aren't just mine, and the things we saw, they don't let you forget. It started with a road trip. My boyfriend, Ethan, and I were driving cross-country, chasing stories for our podcast, Unseen Threads. We'd heard whispers online, Reddit threads, mostly about Marrow's End, a town that didn't appear on modern maps but was said to host a bizarre Easter ritual. The posts were vague, cryptic mentions of the Hollow Choir, and warnings to avoid the woods after dusk on Easter Sunday. Ethan thought it'd be perfect for our next episode. I was skeptical but curious. We packed our gear, recorder, cameras, a drone, and set out. We arrived late on Holy Saturday, the sky a bruised purple as we rolled into Marrow's End. The town was a skeleton of itself. Clapboard houses sagged under moss, and the single gas station looked abandoned, its pumps rusted shut. No one greeted us. The streets were empty, save for a stray dog that watched us with hollow eyes before slinking into an alley. We found a motel, more of a shack with a flickering neon sign, and checked in. The clerk, an old man with a face like crumpled paper, handed us a key without a word. His hands trembled as he muttered, "Stay inside tomorrow. Doors locked." Ethan laughed it off. "Friendly place," he said, tossing his bag onto the creaky bed. I wasn't so sure. The air felt heavy, like it was pressing secrets into my skin. Easter Sunday dawned gray and silent. No birds sang. No church bells rang. We'd planned to scout the town, but a fog had settled overnight, thick as soup, swallowing everything beyond 10 feet. Ethan suggested we explore anyway. "It's atmospheric," he said, grinning. "Perfect for the podcast." I reluctantly agreed, grabbing the recorder. We wandered toward the woods at the town's edge, guided by a faded signpost that read Hollow Trail. The trees loomed skeletal and bare, their branches clawing at the mist. About a mile in, we found it. A clearing with a circle of stones, each carved with symbols I couldn't place. Spirals, crosses, something like an eye with a slit pupil. In the center stood a wooden cross, weathered but upright, draped with wilted lilies. Ethan started recording. April 9th, 2023. Marrow's End. We're standing in what locals call the Hollow Choir site. No idea what that means yet, but this place feels off. Clara, what do you think? I opened my mouth to answer when a sound cut through the fog. A low hum, like a choir warming up, but discordant, wrong. It wasn't coming from any one direction. It was everywhere. My stomach twisted. Ethan, maybe we should. The ground shifted. Not an earthquake, but a subtle lurch, like something massive had exhaled beneath us. The hum grew louder, splitting into voices, dozens, maybe hundreds, chanting words I couldn't understand. Ethan's grin faltered. What the hell is that? Before I could respond, the fog parted, and they emerged. Figures in white robes stepped from the trees, their faces hidden under hoods. They moved in unison, silent except for the chanting that seemed to pour from the air itself. There were no mouths visible, no eyes, just blank fabric stretched tight. Ethan raised his camera, but one of them lunged, impossibly fast, and knocked it from his hands. The lens shattered on a stone. "Run!" I screamed. We bolted back toward the trail, the chanting swelling behind us. Branches snapped as the figures followed, their footsteps eerily light. I glanced back once, big mistake. One of them had lowered its hood, revealing a face that wasn't a face. A hollow cavity, skin stretched over nothing, with two pinpricks of light where eyes should have been. Smiled. We made it to the motel, slamming the door and barricading it with the dresser. My heart hammered as Ethan fumbled with his phone. "No signal," he whispered. "What were those things?" "I don't know," I said, trying to steady my voice for the recorder. "But they're not human." That's when the knocking started. Soft at first, like a child's fist, then harder, rhythmic. It came from the door, the windows, the walls, like they were surrounding us. The recorder picked up a new sound. My own sobbing, Ethan's ragged breathing. Then, a voice not from outside, but from inside the room. It was low, guttural, speaking directly into the microphone. "Join the hollowing." Ethan dropped the recorder. I grabbed his arm, and we stumbled into the bathroom, locking ourselves in. The knocking stopped. Silence stretched for hours or maybe minutes. Time blurred. We didn't speak, just listened to our own breaths echoing off the tiles. When dawn broke Monday morning, the fog lifted. We crept out, expecting to find the town empty again. Instead, it was alive. People milled about, normal people smiling, carrying Easter baskets. The clerk waved at us from the motel porch like nothing had happened. Ethan demanded answers, but the man just shrugged. "You're lucky," he said. "Most don't leave the Hollow Choir." We drove out of Marrow's End without looking back. The recorder clutched in my lap. Back home, I couldn't shake it. The tape haunted me, those voices, that phrase, "Join the hollowing." Ethan refused to talk about it. He deleted our podcast files and started drinking more. I thought we'd escaped, until last week. I woke up to find Ethan gone. His side of the bed was cold, but the recorder was on my pillow, whirring. I hit play. His voice crackled through. Calm. Too calm. "Clara," I heard them again. "They're calling me back. I have to go. Don't follow." Then the chanting. The same voices from the woods, followed by a wet, tearing sound, like something being hollowed out. The tape cut off. I called the police. They searched but found nothing. No trace of Ethan. No record of Marrow's End on any map. I went back myself, desperate, but the town was gone. Just an empty stretch of highway where it should have been. I don't know how that's possible. Yesterday, I found something else. Tucked in the recorder's case was a Polaroid I don't remember taking. Me and Ethan in the clearing, smiling, the cross behind us. But there's a third figure, hooded, faceless, standing between us, its hand on my shoulder. I can still feel its weight, cold and real. Tonight, as I write this, the humming started again. It's faint, coming from the walls, the floor, My skull. I don't think I escaped Marrow's End. I think I brought it with me. If you find this, don't look for me. Don't look for the hollow choir. And if you hear the chanting on Easter Sunday, run. Easter Sunday is supposed to be sacred, a day of light, hope, and resurrection. That's what they taught me growing up in St. Agnes Parish, a crumbling speck of a town in northern Maine. But there's a shadow over that day here, one the congregation never mentions in their hymns. My name is Daniel Kerrigan, and I'm telling this story because I can't keep it buried anymore. Last Easter, April 17th, 2022, I saw something that broke me. I've been running from it since, but it's catching up. This is my confession, pieced together from memory, a cracked phone recording, and the scraps of sanity I've got left. If you're reading this, pray you never find St. Agnes on a map. And if you do, don't stay for Easter. It began with the church. St. Agnes was old, older than the town, some said, its steeple leaning like a tired sentinel over the pines. I'd moved back home that spring after losing my job in Boston, figuring I'd help my mom with her antique shop while I got my life together. She'd warned me about Easter services. They're different here, she'd said, her eyes darting to the window. Just stay home this year. I didn't listen. I'd grown up with those pews, that organ's wheeze. How bad could it be? The morning started normal enough. Fog clung to the ground as I walked to the church, my boots crunching on gravel. The parking lot was packed. Every family in town, dressed in their Sunday best, filing in silently. No one smiled. No kids ran around with baskets. I slipped into a back pew, pulling out my phone to record audio for a blog I'd been tinkering with. The organ groaned to life, and Father Malachi took the pulpit. He was ancient, his voice a dry rasp. "Today," he said, "we bear witness to the true resurrection." The congregation murmured in unison, words I couldn't catch, low and guttural. I shifted uncomfortably. The air smelled wrong, like damp earth and something metallic. Then the lights flickered, and the sermon stopped. A scream tore through the silence. Came from the basement, sharp and human, cut off fast. Heads turned, but no one moved. Father Malachi raised a hand. "The witness calls," he said. The congregation stood, filing toward a door behind the altar. A door I'd never noticed before, painted black and bolted shut until now. My gut screamed at me to leave, but curiosity won. I followed, phone still recording, the mic picking up my shaky breaths. The stairs descended into darkness, the air growing colder, thicker. At the bottom was a chamber, walls slick with moss, lit by flickering candles. In the center stood a stone slab, stained dark, and on it lay a man I recognized. Tom Hargrove, the town drunk. He was alive, eyes wide, gagged with a rag. Ropes bound his wrists and ankles. Around him stood 6 figures in gray robes, hoods up, each holding a rusted tool, scissors, a hammer, a blade. Father Malachi stepped forward, a book in his hands, its cover leather and cracked. "This is the Easter witness," he intoned. "Through his offering, we are renewed." The congregation chanted again, louder, a language that twisted my stomach. I ducked behind a pillar, heart pounding, as the robed figures closed in on Tom. The first cut was slow, scissors snipping through his fingers one by one. His muffled screams clawed at my skull. Blood pooled on the slab, and the chanting grew frenzied. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. Then the lights went out. Complete blackness. The sounds didn't stop. Wet slicing, bones cracking, Tom's gurgles fading. My phone's screen glowed faintly, the recording still rolling. I fumbled to stop it, but a hand grabbed my wrist. Cold, bony, not human. A voice hissed in my ear, "You've seen." The lights flared back on, and I was alone. Tom was gone. The slab was clean. The congregation was back upstairs, singing, "He is risen." I stumbled out of the church, vomit burning my throat. No one followed. The town went on like nothing happened. Easter egg hunts, potlucks, smiles. I locked myself in my room, replaying the recording. It was all there. The screams, the chant, that voice. But when I showed my mom, she went pale and smashed the phone with a hammer. "You weren't supposed to see," she whispered. "Now they know you're marked." That night, I heard it. A tapping at my window. I peeked through the blinds and saw them. Gray-robed figures standing in the yard, motionless, faces hidden. One held Tom's severed hand, waving it like a puppet. I grabbed my keys and fled, driving south until the gas ran out. I thought I'd escaped. Months passed. I crashed on friends' couches, took odd jobs, tried to forget. The recording was gone, but the sounds lived in my head. Then, last week, I found a package on my doorstep. No return address. Inside was my phone, screen repaired, and a note. "Witness again." The audio file was still there, but it had changed. My voice was gone. Instead, it was Tom's, pleading, "Daniel, help me," over and over, layered with that chant. At the end, a new voice, mine, but not mine, said, "I'm coming back." I didn't sleep after that. The tapping started again, every night, no matter where I went. Last night, I saw them outside my motel room. 6 figures, gray robes, standing in the parking lot. One stepped forward, hood down. It was Tom, but his face was wrong. Stitched together, eyes black pits, smiling too wide. He held up a hand. My phone clutched in it, the screen glowing with that damn audio playing on loop. I'm writing this from a gas station bathroom, the last stop before St. Agnes. I don't know why I'm driving back. I don't want to, but my hands won't turn the wheel anywhere else. The radio static keeps breaking into chants, and the rearview mirror shows Tom in the back seat, closer each time I look. Easter's tomorrow, April 5th, 2025, by the date on my watch. I think they want me to witness again, or worse, to join them. If you find this, don't come looking. Burn it. Burn the phone if it's with me. And if you hear tapping on Easter Sunday, don't look out the window. They're waiting for someone new to see.